And now to see if we can get to the drinking zone of those mule deer before they actually start to leave, which could be problematic. Yeah, and we're not going down there, we're gonna break our neck. Oh, come on. The hill is not that steep. Get up there. We can actually go... Well, no, we're gonna go up here, if we can. With these hills, it's always like, if I do find a way to go up, we're going up. I don't care if it's not directly the right line. But otherwise we might just take a detour. We might just have to take a detour for an hour, which I don't want. So if we can find a way up, we're gonna take a way up, even if that means we have to go down again. They should be on the other side of the lake, so at least they should be fairly easy to spot, if they are there. If they are at the other lake, then we're gonna be in trouble. Of course, there's a good chance that they are already leaving for their other zones right now. For one of their 2 resting zones. So let's hope that they are actually here. Nope. No deer, far and wide. Well, that sucks. Where do these guys go to sleep? Just so that I can be prepared. Okay, so if they are en route to their sleeping zones, we should be running into them. Fairly easily, anyway. Because, yeah, drinking time is coming to an end, so... I will not be surprised if we don't find them at their other drinking zone either. If we actually run into them into the sleeping zone before then. Those were whitetail. Decided to stop streaming and just to watch streamers. Whatever works for you, horror reaction gaming. Yeah, no, there are no deer here. Okay, let me mark out their sleeping zones just in case. One of them is just above their antlers. So about over here, roughly. Oh, on the other side of the road, actually. Over here. And the other one is in that curve. So around over here. Like I've said before, if Reanimal released already, I would be playing that the whole day. Yeah. You and I think, God, how many people do we have on the Tarsier Discord at this point? 2,000? Probably a few more. It's been almost 2 weeks since I went on vacation, so I don't have the up-to-date numbers. But that Discord grew fast. Like, which is good. It means a lot of people are excited for the game, so that's great. $2,054 members at the moment. Yep, that sounds about right. It's pretty good. I think when I come back from vacation, I'm just gonna have to forgive myself for just clicking mark as read on everything because, God, I don't even want to know how many messages in total there have been since I went on vacation. I don't even want to think about it. Imagine how the server will break when the demo and full game releases. So active will be. Well, it would not be the first super active release that we've had. So we know how to deal with those. Also, thankfully, Discord has a wonderful tool called slow mode, in case everything else fails. Literally, most people would get crazy, I can imagine already. Well, in my own personal experience, the busiest day is actually not the day of release, but the day before that. Because by that point, usually you already have a bunch of streamers and reviewers who had early access, who are posting their reviews, and everybody's checking out the reviews and talking about what they will do first in the game and stuff like that. And then when the actual day of release comes, there's usually a lot of chatter while people are waiting for their downloads to finish, and then there is just basically almost silence for like 2 hours while everybody is busy playing the game. And then depending on the technical state that the game is in, it will get either very, very quiet or, well, quiet or positive, or it will get very loud and very negative. That's my own personal experience, because if the game is good, if the game is in a good state and it is what people were expecting out of it, then the reaction is usually just people play until they are done. And depending on how long the game is, that might mean that you will barely even see or hear anything from people except a quick, hey guys, this game is so good, I'm gonna go back to playing right now for like the first 12 or 24 hours. But if the game has massive technical issues, or if it's not what the fans were expecting it to be, then you'd better hope that you have sorted out your moderator manpower for the day, because then things are gonna get ugly. I will have to avoid YouTube and Discord and any social media while I'm playing the game, not to get spoiled. Yeah, I mean, depending on which social media platforms you are on, some of them have word block filters, which work pretty well. Blacklist filters for specific words. But yeah, if you're really hyped for something, it's probably best to just stay off YouTube for that day. for the week of release. I know we recently released, well, recently, it's been almost a month, almost exactly a month actually, since we released Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed. And the week before it released, one of the guys who had been on the server the longest, he actually just came into the chat and he was like, hey guys, I'm gonna go completely silent now, I'm gonna log out of Discord and I'm gonna leave this server and I'm not coming back until a month or so after release, until I have fully explored the game and everything it has to offer. And it was nice chatting to you all, and I see you sometime later. And we're like, okay, totally understand it, man. You have a good one. Okay, resting rarely, so we didn't find them at their drinking zone, we didn't find them at their first sleeping zone. By the way, will Tarsier Studios add a Reanimo spoiler channel? That is what we usually do with our servers at THQ Nordic. So for the record, the server is called Tarsier Studios, and it is primarily a Discord for Tarsier Studios' games, but it is actually run by us. So the server was actually made by one of us, and is largely maintained by one of us, or several of us. And usually what we do at THQ Nordic with our servers is a game will get if it's a story heavy game, it will get a spoiler channel. It will get a bug reporting channel that will be locked. So people will be able to see how they can log a bug, and they will find a link to the bug database, but they will not be able to write in there because that is just useless to QA. And then it will depend on what kind of other feedback is desired. Personally, I always like to put a feedback forum, because that actually allows people to tag their posts, and it allows us to have all the, I don't know, people praising the specific main theme of the main music theme, the main menu music theme in one thread, instead of having like 360 individual posts somewhere that say, hey, the main menu music is awesome. So that just makes it easier to manage. But we'll see as we get closer to release. I have high hopes for Reanimo, mostly to have positive reviews on Steam, not bad ones. Well, Steam reviews depend a lot on the technical state of the game, and the technical state of the game, especially with PC gaming, is always a bit of a tricky issue, because there are just so many different hardware and software combinations out there in the world. You can test the game on like 200 different machines, and you can put hundreds of hours of QA into the testing, and then someone somewhere with a potato from 2005 will try to play this game on Windows 7 with a graphics processor that you have never even heard of, and will encounter the weirdest bugs, and you're just sitting there like, okay, that happened now. How do we fix this? Do we even fix this? Can we even fix this? Like, is this worth the manpower and investment and everything that it would take to fix this? Especially sometimes if people just trying to play stuff on underpowered hardware, where you're like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry, but you knew the system requirements before you bought the game. Like, PC diagnosing is just, it's just a nightmare. Launching a game is the biggest QA, yeah. Hey, Headshot, how's it going? And sometimes the weirdest things can cause issues in game. Like, I think it was both on this game and on another one that, but if the game will have bugs, I'm sure some of the devs will release a patch for the bugs people experience. Horror reaction gaming, while we would always love, and while the devs would always love, to release a flawless game that doesn't have any bugs, or if a game has bugs, to at least patch any bugs that occur, that is just impossible at this point, basically. Sometimes you just are going to run into bugs that the user is saying, yeah, this bug 100% occurs for me every single time, and you as the dev, you just cannot reproduce it. Or maybe you will be able to reproduce it, but the fix would break something else so spectacularly that you're like, nah, this is not worth it. We will not risk it. There are so many different, dozens and hundreds of different tiny little what ifs that go into bug fixing. That's why I'm saying for Steam reviews or for Steam players in particular, a lot of it just depends on your personal hardware setup. And there are so many thousands of hardware setups. You cannot test and you cannot fix everything. For example, we have, and sometimes that's the other thing. Sometimes players will not have any bugs. Oh, there are mule deer. Some players will go into the game and will have exactly 0 bugs and will be perfectly happy and everything will be peachy. And then you will have players who just get one bug after the other, for whom the game is just completely broken. And sometimes the issue can come from the weirdest places. Like one bug that I have seen occur in like 3 different games now, not personally, but that I have heard people report in 3 different games, is that the mouse just suddenly stopped working. Like those players just could no longer use their mouse. And they didn't know why. It was only in those specific games. And then just through sheer exhaustive questioning on Steam, we found out, hey, you have this weird flight simulator joystick setup connected to your PC. And for some reason, this game, which has nothing to do with flight simulators or using a joystick, is recognizing that as a controller. And is overriding the keyboard and mouse controls with the controller controls, even though you don't have a controller connected, you just have this flight simulator setup. These kind of things can happen. And then the question is, do you spend man-hour and money, because development costs money, bug fixing costs money, do you spend that on fixing an issue that occurs for 3 players out of your 500,000 who have bought the game? Do you know what I mean? Like, that is always the problem with QA. I heard that Genshin Impact had a problem with a specific mouse at a specific polling rate that caused problems. Imagine how difficult to track a problem like that. Yeah. Or I remember, Typo, do you remember when we released Trine 5 and we had this one issue where a certain puzzle just would not move properly if your game ran in under 30 FPS? Like, how do you even find that? how do you even find out that is the problem, that it's under 30 FPS? Like, that is why I'm saying it's ridiculous. And with Steam, you are always going to find players for whom the game is just completely broken. And you are always going to find players for whom it works absolutely flawlessly and perfectly. And oh, he is still a 4-star mature. Okay. Well, we're going to call this herd and see if we can get any low fits. But we are also going to note that this guy is still 4-star mature. This is day number 8. 2nd year. 2nd out of X as 4-star. Yeah, when some players play on weaker PCs and they find bugs you'd never imagine existed. Exactly. Oh, you are a young one. I don't need you. Like, if you were an elk, I would be absolutely happy, but you are not an elk. You are a mule deer. I'm sorry. You get to live. Which is probably good for this mule deer. Not so good for us. Okay, now we gotta go and find these guys at their sleeping zones. Because I want to know if they have a 4-star as well. Or if that has become a 5-star since then. So we have one that is just above here. But yeah, to get back to the original topic, usually when a game gets closer to release, we do add a few more channels. But that all depends on how exactly it goes with the game and what channels are needed and what the needs of the community are. So, yeah. We'll look into that as we actually get closer to launch. All right. Oh, wow, it's already almost 10 p.m. over here. Okay. Well, we are definitely going to look for those mule deer. We have already gone past the drinking time for goats, so I don't think there'll be much point in looking at this herd anymore. But we are definitely going to go to Felicia Yee's cabin. And we are going to, after we are done looking at the mule deer, we're going to go to Felicia Yee's cabin, unlock She-Devil. And then we can actually tomorrow explore all of this. Which I think this one or this one is a campsite as well. And one of these is a campsite if I'm not mistaken. I have the ability to just break games all the time, and I also see bugs that other people would just glance over. Yeah, that's a big issue for me personally, because I am one of those people who just, if a game runs in 30 FPS, I don't notice anything else. Like, some people are like, this game has horrible FPS, micro stutters, and I'm like, I don't see what you are seeing. And it's literally just my eyes just don't recognize that. And so sometimes I just have to take people's statements at face value there. But I do also tend to break things in particular ways, and I'm very good at finding text bugs because I used to work in localization QA. So my entire job was finding text bugs and translation errors and stuff that didn't fit into the text box correctly and things like that. So I am very good at finding those. And sometimes I even find them before I even look at a localization. Like, I will look at something and I will go, hey, I'm reading this text in English and I can already tell you right now, unless the German translation is absolutely amazing, this is not gonna work. So in general, I hope my PC runs Reanimal very well and not to have any lagging or bugs. I would be pissed. Well, that will depend on the system requirements, and while the final system requirements are not yet on Steam, to the best of my knowledge, unless that changed over while I was on vacation, the fact that the game is not coming to the last-gen consoles, that it's not coming to PS4 or Xbox One, that should already tell you something about the requirements.